It's Saturday night. Dinner's done, maybe you've had some dessert, and now you're sprinting to the living room because in about 3 minutes, a giant orange couch is going to pop up on your TV screen. And if you're not parked on your own couch when that happens, you're going to miss the most important 2 hours of your entire week. That couch, the big orange couch, it wasn't just furniture. It was an invitation, a promise. Basically, a portal to a world where kids owned Saturday nights. And for nearly 12 and a half years, that's exactly what went down. SNICK, which stood for Saturday Night Nickelodeon, wasn't just some programming block. It was a full-blown cultural phenomenon that proved every TV executive in America dead wrong about what kids actually wanted to do on Saturday nights. So today, we're going deep on how a cable network made for children somehow conquered the one night that every major broadcast network had completely given up on. We're covering the shows, the strategy, that iconic branding, and the careers that got launched from this 2-hour block that changed everything. If you grew up in the 90s, buckle up for a serious nostalgia trip. And hey, if you're new here, go ahead and hit subscribe. Give this video a like, because trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. The Saturday night problem. Alright, before we get into SNICK's success story, we got to understand the problem it was built to solve. See, back in the early 90s, Saturday night television had this very specific reputation. It was the night for older viewers. And we're talking shows like The Golden Girls and Empty Nest on NBC. The conventional wisdom across the entire television industry was pretty clear. The only audience watching TV on Saturday nights was people 50 and older. Just sit with that for a second. Every major broadcast network, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, they'd basically surrendered Saturday nights to the senior citizen demographic. Even Nickelodeon gave up that time slot to Nick at Night, which just ran old sitcoms from decades past. But here's where it gets interesting. Geraldine Laybourne, who ran Nickelodeon as president from 1984 to 1996, spotted something everyone else had missed. She realized there was this entire audience getting completely ignored. The way she put it, these were kids who were, quote, too young to be out on the town and too old to be in bed by 8. Think about who she meant. Preteens, teenagers, kids who weren't old enough to hit parties or hang out at the mall without supervision, but who definitely weren't going to sleep at 8 o'clock like the little ones. These were the forgotten viewers of Saturday night TV, and Laybourne had a plan to capture every single one of them. The birth of SNICK. August 15th, 1992. That's when Nickelodeon launched what would become one of the most successful programming experiments in cable TV history. SNICK ran from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, 2 solid hours featuring 4 half-hour shows, back to back to back to back. And Laybourne? She wasn't being subtle about what she was up to. She flat out told the Baltimore Sun, quote, "We're invading the broadcast network's home turf. We love challenging conventional network wisdom. Now we're out to expose the myth that there is no audience for kids and teen programming on Saturday nights." That's a bold move right there. She wasn't just launching a programming block. She was picking a fight with everything the TV industry believed about Saturday nights. Now, that original lineup on August 15th, 1992, it was carefully put together. At 8 p.m., you got Clarissa Explains It All, moved over from its Sunday slot.
How did I get to this sorry state? I've had my share of crushes before. Long ago, there was Roquefort.
Big deal, because Clarissa was the first Nickelodeon show with a female lead, and it pioneered that whole style where the main character talks directly into the camera. 8:30 brought Roundhouse, this musical sketch comedy variety show that was actually created specifically for SNICK. Then, at 9 p.m. came the Ren and Stimpy show, also moved from Sundays.
We are marooned, just like the title of this cartoon.
And here's a wild little nugget about Ren and Stimpy. More than a third of its audience, over 1 million viewers, were adults between 18 and 35. This wasn't just some kids show. It had serious crossover appeal. And then, closing out the night at 9:30. Are You Afraid of the Dark? A horror anthology that also started on SNICK. This one had a group of teenagers called the Midnight Society, gathering around a campfire to tell scary stories. Perfect way to end the night. A little spooky, totally captivating, and absolutely nothing like what you'd see on daytime Nickelodeon. Laybourne predicted SNICK would double Nickelodeon's Saturday night audience, bumping it from around 650,000 viewers to 1 million. She nailed it. Actually, she underestimated. The ratings domination. So here's what happened. By early 1993, less than a year after launch, something wild went down. According to AC Nielsen ratings, Nickelodeon hit number 1 among viewers ages 6 to 11 on Saturday nights. Let that sink in. A cable network was beating all 4 major broadcast networks combined in its target demographic. The numbers don't lie. In 1993, SNICK pulled a 6.4 rating in its key age group. Fox came in second at 5.5. NBC managed a 5.2. CBS got 4.8. And ABC, they were trailing at 3.2. Nickelodeon wasn't just winning. They were running away with it. By the time Geraldine Laybourne left in 1996, Nickelodeon controlled 56% of all kids' TV viewership. More than half of every kid watching television was watching Nickelodeon. And get this, by 1993, the network reached more children ages 2 to 11 than kids programming on all 4 broadcast networks put together. We're talking 57.4 million homes. The money followed. In 1992, the Wall Street Journal pegged Nickelodeon's profits at $76 million on sales of $190 million. They were pulling in broadcast-level ad rates between $100,000 and $125,000 for a single 30-second spot. For a cable network in the early 90s, that was huge. From 1995 to 2005, Nickelodeon and Nick at Night held onto the number 1 basic cable network spot in total day ratings for more than 10 straight years. SNICK wasn't just some experiment that worked out. It was the foundation of a cable empire. What made SNICK special?
I think the door not opening might have something to do with that big chain that's like around it. The chain, oh!
So what actually made SNICK work? Why were kids all over America begging their parents to let them stay up on Saturday nights? Here's the thing. SNICK wasn't just a bunch of shows strung together. It was an experience. First up, the branding. That big orange couch became one of the most iconic mascots in kids' TV history. In the bumpers between shows, the couch would get digitally dropped into all kinds of random spots. In front of the Midnight Society's campfire from Are You Afraid of the Dark? Inside Ren and Stimpy's house. Beaches. Forests. The opening sequences showed the couch just showing up at kids' homes, basically inviting you to sit down and watch. Someone described it perfectly. The SNICK opening theme relied on the mischievous big orange couch that would show up at a kid's house and be like, "Yo, sit on my lap, and let's watch some SNICK." The kids and dogs that sat on the big orange couch would get charged by the current of cool that was a byproduct of watching SNICK. That couch meant something. It created this feeling of belonging, of being in on something special. When it showed up on screen, you knew the next 2 hours were going to be different from regular Nickelodeon stuff. Second thing, SNICK brought edgier, more mature content than daytime Nick. This wasn't programming for little kids. This was for preteens and teens who wanted something that felt more grown up. You had horror with Are You Afraid of the Dark? Sophisticated sketch comedy with All That. Storylines tackling issues older kids actually dealt with. And third, maybe most importantly, SNICK created appointment television. No streaming. No watching whatever you want whenever you want. If you missed SNICK on Saturday night, you missed it. Sure, they ran Sunday replays from 5 to 7 p.m., but Saturday night was the real deal. That urgency, that need to be planted in front of your TV at exactly 8 p.m. created a ritual that millions of kids shared together. The shows that defined an era. Let's break down the shows, because SNICK's lineup changed a lot over those nearly 12 and a half years. Are You Afraid of the Dark ran 7 seasons, 91 episodes, plus a TV movie. Fun fact: creators DJ McHale and Ned Candle originally pitched it to Nickelodeon and got shot down. The network said they couldn't scare little kids. Only when Jay Mulvaney took over as head of development did the show finally get the green light. Makes that success even sweeter, right? Clarissa Explains It All went 5 seasons, 65 episodes. Melissa Joan Hart became a total 90s icon and later went on to star in Sabrina the Teenage Witch before moving into directing and producing. The Adventures of Pete and Pete got the best critical reviews of any SNICK show. AllMusic literally called it the greatest children's show ever. Will McRobb and Chris Viscardi created it, ran 3 seasons, 39 episodes, and pulled in incredible guest stars. We're talking Steve Buscemi, Iggy Pop, Adam West. Then there's All That.
I'm man.
A sneak peek dropped on April 16th, 1994, and it officially joined SNICK as a regular show on December 24th, 1994. Brian Robbins and Mike Tollin created it as basically a kid-friendly Saturday Night Live. 10 seasons, 171 episodes, the longest-running show on SNICK. Here's something cool about how All That came together. Robbins and Tollin cast their actors first, then wrote the pilot around what those kids could do. Unusual approach, but it worked. They'd actually met Albie Hecht, who'd become a key Nickelodeon development executive, while co-hosting the 1988 Kids' Choice Awards with Tony Danza and Debbie Gibson. Hecht later championed their pitch. Robbins looked back on it years later. I would have never, ever, ever canceled the show. It should have been Nickelodeon's Saturday Night Live. All That was a very sophisticated show. Young humor, but the level of comedy on that show was sophisticated. The Secret World of Alex Mack premiered October 8th, 1994.
Alex, what happened to you?
I don't know.
When did you start feeling weird?
Not long after we entered the carnival.
4 seasons, 78 episodes. Star Larissa Oleynik kept acting, landing roles in 10 Things I Hate About You and Pretty Little Liars. Kenan Kel hit the air August 17th, 1996. 4 seasons, somewhere between 62 and 65 episodes, plus a TV movie, built specifically around the chemistry of 2 All That breakout stars. The Amanda Show launched October 16th, 1999.
Hello, I'm Amanda. You may know me as Bucky McBuckbuck, the world's most ticklish pony.
3 seasons, 46 episodes. It helped propel Amanda Bynes into movie stardom with films like She's the Man and Hairspray. Other shows that rotated through SNICK over the years: Kablam, The Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, Space Cases, Figure It Out, Animorphs, Cousin Skeeter, Caitlin's Way, The Nick Cannon Show, Romeo, Tina, and eventually animated heavy hitters like SpongeBob SquarePants, Rugrats, and The Fairly Odd Parents joined the mix too. The Talent Factory. One of SNICK's biggest lasting impacts? The careers it launched. This wasn't just a programming block. It was a genuine talent factory. The prime example is Kenan Thompson. Started on All That in 1994, moved to Kenan Kel, then jumped to Saturday Night Live in 2003.
Rehabilitated. Heh. That's a funny question. I don't believe I know the meaning of that word.
As of now, he's the longest tenured cast member in SNL history. 22 seasons. He's won an Emmy. He's hosted the Emmy Awards. Thompson himself connected the dots. Nickelodeon was the biggest training ground for my adult career because I starred in a sketch show and a sitcom on the popular kids network, and that's exactly what I am doing now. Think about that path. A kid who started on SNICK's All That is now the longest-running cast member on the exact show All That was modeled after. That's not coincidence. That's SNICK creating a career trajectory. Kel Mitchell, Thompson's partner in crime, became an actor and producer. He co-executive produced the 2019 All That revival and starred in Good Burger 2 in 2023. Amanda Bynes went from All That to The Amanda Show to legitimate movie stardom. Nick Cannon jumped from All That to hosting SNICK House to becoming a major TV presence with America's Got Talent and Wild 'N Out. The list keeps going. Danny Tamborelli, Josh Server, Lori Beth Denberg. These names might not be household famous, but to kids who grew up on SNICK, they were everything. And the shows that came later, created by people from SNICK era productions, launched even more stars. Miranda Cosgrove, Victoria Justice, Ariana Grande. Behind the scenes. The people who made SNICK happen deserve some shine. Geraldine Laybourne was the visionary who got it all rolling. Under her watch, from 1984 to 1996, Nickelodeon went from 40% to 56% of kids viewing. She left in '96 to run Disney ABC cable networks and got inducted into the Television Hall of Fame in 2020. Herb Scannell stepped in after Laybourne and oversaw SNICK through its later years. Laybourne gave him credit for his strategic programming sense. Scannell himself described the culture there. People who work at Nickelodeon like kids' television. They're not gigging to get someplace else. This is a good place to make kids' television. Albie Hecht ran production, bringing in key talent and greenlighting shows like All That. He became president of Film and Television Entertainment in 1997. The corporate structure matters for context, too. Nickelodeon lived under Viacom through the MTV Networks division. Viacom picked up MTV Networks from Warner Communications between 1985 and 1986 for roughly $685 million. Sumner Redstone, through National Amusements, grabbed controlling interest in Viacom in 1987. By 1997, MTV Networks was pulling in $2.7 billion of Viacom's total $13.2 billion in revenue. Same year, MTV Networks kicked in $625 million in operating profits, about 32% of what Viacom earned overall. The evolution and decline. SNICK didn't stay frozen in time. The block evolved over the years, and honestly, not always for the better. October 1999 kicked off the SNICK House era. Different format, more of a variety show wrapping around the programming. Nick Cannon came on as host starting October 2000, but it didn't connect the way the original did. SNICK House got axed in July 2001, less than a year after Cannon started hosting. After that, Nick Flicks filled in temporarily. SNICK relaunched January 19, 2002, with a fresh All That cast. On-air Dare segments started that September. In 2003, Beehive redesigned the bumpers, and announcers started saying Saturday Night Nickelodeon instead of just SNICK. By September 4th, 2004, they quietly rebranded the whole thing as just Saturday Night on Nickelodeon. The SNICK name was getting phased out. The final SNICK broadcast? January 29th, 2005. That last lineup was Drake and Josh, Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, Zoe 101, and SpongeBob SquarePants. A week later, February 5th, 2005, Teenix Saturday Night officially took over. Total run, about 12 years and 5 months. By those final years, SNICK had drifted pretty far from what it started as. It lost that unique identity, that event TV energy from the 90s peak. Nickelodeon was shifting toward younger kids, more preschool and tween stuff, and the branded Saturday night block just didn't fit the strategy anymore. The complicated legacy. We can't talk about SNICK's legacy without getting into some hard truths that came out recently. The 2024 Investigation Discovery docuseries, quiet on set. The dark side of kids' TV pulled back the curtain on serious problems in some SNICK-era productions. Brian Peck, a dialogue coach on All That, got convicted of sexually assaulting Drake Bell when Bell was 15. Bell went public about it in the documentary. Jason Handy, a production assistant on All That, was convicted of sending explicit images to child actors. There were also allegations about producer Dan Schneider's work environment. Nickelodeon put out a statement. Though we cannot corroborate or negate allegations of behaviors from productions decades ago, Nickelodeon, as a matter of policy, investigates all formal complaints as part of our commitment to fostering a safe and professional workplace environment. These revelations have made it complicated to look back at SNICK. The shows and the viewing experience, still touchstones for a whole generation. But now we know that behind the scenes, things weren't as wholesome as they looked on screen. You can hold both realities at once. Appreciate what SNICK meant to us as viewers while acknowledging real harm happened during its making. The nostalgia lives on. Even with that complicated legacy, the hunger for SNICK-era content never really faded. July 25th, 2011, Teen Nick rolled out The 90s Are All That, a late-night block packed with classic SNICK-era shows. The premiere pulled 417,000 viewers, ages 12 to 24, a 225% jump from the year before in that slot. They later renamed it The Splat in 2015, then Nick Splat in 2017. Anniversary events kept the spirit going. The 21st SNICK Iversary in August 2013 and the 25th anniversary month in 2017 recreated those classic lineups with restored original bumpers and big orange couch segments. All that came back in 2019 with Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell executive producing. Are You Afraid of the Dark got a limited series reboot running from 2019 to 2022. Good Burger 2 dropped in 2023 with Kenan and Kel back in their original roles. Even the fan community kept things alive. The Big Orange Couch podcast has cranked out over 270 episodes celebrating SNICK-era Nickelodeon. The 2023 Nickelodeon rebrand actually brought back the orange splat logo. The kids who watched SNICK are parents now, and they haven't forgotten what Saturday nights used to mean. Conclusion. So what did SNICK actually pull off? Let's circle back to where we started. By 1992, every major TV network had written off Saturday nights for young viewers. Industry wisdom said kids weren't watching. They were out doing stuff, or already in bed. Geraldine Laybourne looked at that assumption and basically said, "You're wrong, and I'm going to prove it." She was right. Inside a year, SNICK made Nickelodeon #1 for kids on Saturday nights, beating all 4 broadcast networks combined. The block ran nearly 12 and a half years, launched careers still going strong today, created a shared experience for an entire generation. SNICK proved that dedicated Saturday night programming for kids could work when everyone else had given up. It became the template for branded programming blocks that competitors tried to copy. It turned Saturday night from the least watched night for kids into genuine event television. But more than strategy and ratings, SNICK gave millions of kids something to look forward to every week. It gave us the Big Orange Couch, campfire horror stories, sketch comedy, shows that treated us like we were smart enough to handle something a little edgier than afternoon cartoons. It gave us Kenan and Kel and Amanda Bynes, and a whole wave of performers who grew up on screen right alongside us. If you couldn't stay up late on Saturday nights back then, you probably begged and bargained until you could. Because missing SNICK wasn't just missing TV. It was missing out on what everyone would be talking about Monday morning. The Big Orange Couch is gone now. SNICK ended almost 20 years ago. But for those of us who were there, who sprinted to the living room every Saturday, who felt that current of cool from being part of something special, SNICK never really ended. It just became part of who we are. Thanks for watching. If this brought back some memories, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the shows and movies that shaped us. Drop a comment. What was your favorite SNICK show? Are you afraid of the Dark Crew? All That Fans? I want to hear it. Catch you in the next one.